we start off today when Ash has just finished battling Brandon and has made it to Morville City. He has gone to the route left or west of Morville City to catch more Pokemon and strengthen his Pokemon. Basically to get more Pokemon. And he would encounter a Zubat. And he would send out his Tentacool to give it more battling experience. It would be a battle between two Kanto Pokemon. Then, Tentacool would use a Water Pulse, which would confuse Zubat. And Zubat would hurt itself in the confusion. And Ash would quickly throw a Pokeball, catching it. Then, after that, the trio would return to Morville City for Ash's gym battle. And they would heal their Pokemon and they would make their way into the Morville City's gym. And Ash would challenge Watson to a battle. Ash would send in his Hariyama, which at this point was pretty much his ace. Then, Ash would command Hariyama to use an arm thrust, which would do a lot of damage, putting Magneton on the verge of fainting. But Magneton would quickly use a Thunder, weakening Hariyama really much and paralyzing it. But then Hariyama would just finish it off with a Brick Break. After that, Watson would return his Magneton. And he would send out his Electrode. Electrode would be fresh. Meanwhile, Hariyama would be exhausted and paralyzed. But still, Hariyama would be able to use a Brick Break and an Arm Thrust, which would really weaken Electrode. Meanwhile, Electrode would just use one single Thunder, knocking out Hariyama. I have to say, return buddy, you did a good job. Now, it's time for you to come out. Go Tentacool! He would send out Tentacool. This battle would be a battle between a disadvantaged Pokemon against a tired out Pokemon. Ash knew that Hariyama would faint in the next match after facing Magneton. So his plan was to weaken Electrode or the next Pokemon. Then you could quickly send out another Pokemon to finish off the Pokemon and gain the advantage against Watson. But Ash would have forgotten one thing despite his planning. Even though he wanted to get Tentacool to have more experience battling, he would have forgot that Tentacool has a type disadvantage to Electrode. So Ash would command for a Water Pulse, which would confuse Electrode. Ash would begin thinking that he's already won the battle, but Watson would see this and would make sure that Electrode would hit Tentacool with a Thunderbolt, which would really hurt Tentacool. Ash would wake up from this and would command for a Water Gun, which would hurt Electrode. And then Watson would say, one lesson from today. Do not let your guard down. Do not get cocky, or you will lose the match. You have cost yourself this battle in a way. If you didn't lose yourself, your calm composure, and begin believing that your Tentacool would just win because my Pokemon is confused, you are terribly mistaken. because confusion or any status problems, and if your Pokemon is at low health, that doesn't mean that the status afflicted and hurt Pokemon is doomed to lose. Then Ash would say, wow, thank you for that lesson. I'll make sure that I'll never let myself be overcome by cockiness. But not knowing that he probably will. Anyway, going back to the battle. Ash would command for Water Pulse and Watson would command for Thunderbolt. Both attacks would hit each other, colliding, and both Pokemon would try to stand up from the attacks, but they would just faint in exhaustion. Would be a double knockout. Watson would say, I guess my advice helped you take this to a draw, Ash, but from now on, I won't be going easy. This will be very hard. Now I'm going to send in my ace, my strongest Pokemon. Go Manectric! And then Ash would be like, so, Manectric is a speedy electric type Pokemon. I've heard about it. Now, from the seams of it, yes. Actually, I wouldn't say that he heard about it. He'd say from the seams of it, it's a rather speedy Pokemon. So, I need to match that speed with Linoon. Both Pokemon would tear each other down, knowing exactly what kind of battle this would be. It would be a battle of speed and agility and stamina in a way. Then both Pokemon will go at each other. A clash between quick attacks. This would do equal damage to both Pokemon. Watson would then command for Thunderbolt to do a lot of damage to Linoon. Then Linoon would use a takedown, doing more damage to Manectric, but Linoon would suffer from recoil. And then, seeing that this battle could possibly go on forever, both trainers will command for a Slash and a Thunderbolt. Manectric would use its Thunderbolt, and Ash would command his Linoon to use a Slash. At first, both attacks would evenly match, with Linoon and its claw colliding with the Thunderbolt in the field. But then Ash would say, push harder, Linoon! And Linoon would cut through the Thunderbolt and would slash Manectric clean in the face, knocking it out. And Ash would win his third gym badge. I forgot the name of the badge because I always forget the names of these badges. Yeah. And then after that, the trio would head out. And Ash would go and heal his Pokemon. Then Flannery would say, hey, look at that bike shop. Looks very interesting, doesn't it? And then Ash would say, wow, I'd love to ride a bike. Or he would say, wow, it would be good exercise and training for us and our Pokemon. Let's go in. The three would go in. There would be two bikes. And Flannery, being the fire type trainer she is, would be immediately attracted to the red one. And she would immediately go and ask for Rydell and ask for it from Rydell, and Rydell would allow her to have it. And both Brawly and Ash would be equally interested in the red one. The two males would decide that in order to decide who will keep the blue bike, they must have a game of rock, paper, scissors. Ash would go for paper and Brawley would go for rock. And of course, if you know how rock, paper, scissors go, you'll know that Ash won that. Meaning that Ash will get the blue bike and Brawley would have to go get another bike. Or he won't get anything. Depends on your interpretation of the situation. I'll decide in the next part if he does have that bike. Yeah. So basically, so I'd head out into the next route. All three would see a house. Yeah, and a man in front. And they would go and they would ask the man what's happening. He would explain that they are the Winstrate family and they win battles and stuff like that, blah 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 blah, and they want to battle. Brawley would get to battle the man, and Brawley would of course use his Machop, wanting to give it more experience since he already used Hariyama once. And of course, Machop would easily win with a karate chop. Oh, that rhymes. Anyway, the man would then return and then he would ask for his wife to come out. And then Victoria, his wife, I forgot the name of the man, would send out her Rosalia, and Flannery would battle her with her combustion, her ace. Flannery's ace. And then, of course, combustion would easily beat the Rosalia with a flamethrower. And then the woman would call for her daughter, and Ash would battle the daughter with his Tentacool, and would of course come out on top. And then it would be a match of rock, paper, scissors for who gets to battle Vicky. First, it would be a 3-on-3 rock, paper, scissors. Like, Ash would go for paper like he did. And both Flannery and Brawley would go for rock. And then Ash would have won both matches, even though I haven't heard of triple rock, paper, scissors. I just made it up so we can just get into the match. And in the end, Ash would win. And it would be him versus Vicky. Ash would send out his Zubat to give it more experience. Meanwhile, Victoria would send out her Camerupt. Camerupt, being fully evolved and being a very powerful Pokemon, would hurt Zubat bad with flamethrower. But Zubat would persevere from every flamethrower and eruption which was used on Zubat. Zubat would persevere, then causing Zubat to glow. Zubat would grow in size. Its wings would expand. It would become taller. Its mouth had become the dominant part of its body, and it's basically its feet things had actually become feet, causing it to evolve into Golbat. Golbat would battle against Camerupt. Since it had evolved, it had learned Sludge Bomb from evolution. It would use Sludge Bomb, which would do not very much damage, but it would poison the Camerupt. Then Ash would command for a wing attack, which would finish off the poisoned Camerupt. And Ash would say, "Alright, I've won! Well done, Golbat! You evolved!" And Ash would hug his Golbat. And then Vito would show himself. I would say, "Wow, first I was scared to see you guys, to come back, knowing that I haven't truly completed my journey. Yeah, but from all the commotion, I wanted to see who you were battling and what was going on. I was very curious, so now I'm here." And then, Vicky would say, "This is the strongest one in our family." Blah 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 blah, like what she said in the games. Then she would internalize what Vito said and would be like, "You haven't finished your journey, and you were scared to return to us, grandson. If you want to return to us, return. You can continue your journey later. Don't worry." Then, after hearing that Vito was so strong, would say, "Oh, Vito, I want to battle you." But then Vito would say that he doesn't want to battle Ash right now, but they can later. If Ash ever wants to, he can come back to the Winstrate family and battle him. Because at this point in time, Ash would need to have about 6 or 5 badges. About 5 badges to battle Vito on an even playing field with the kind of Pokemon that Vito has. So Ash can expect to come back and battle Vito later when he has 5 gym badges. Ash and Flannery and Brawley would then journey out of the route, and they would go through Fire Path, and they would actually find a Firestone in Fire Path. Ash would find one. Actually, no. Wait, what am I talking about? They would then go out and finish the route, and then they would go and they would hear the Team Magma grunts talking about the Meteorite and Meteor Falls, whatever that's called, and how they're gonna go and get the Meteorite from Cosmo and stuff like that, And then they'll go up the machine and stuff like that, Ash and Flannery and Brawley would think, "Oh, we've got to stop them. But there's no way we are going to let them get that meteorite. They're probably going to do something fishy with it." They would then go into Fiery Path, and they would explore the entire area. And then, in a really hot area, Ash would discover a Firestone. And Ash would then decide to put the Firestone in his bag, thinking that he might need it for later. And then they would leave the area and go into the next route. I also forgot the names of the route. Quick side note. So then adventure around it and make their way into Falaba Town. Ash would go heal his Pokemon and stuff, and then they would go into the next route so they could go to Meteor Falls. They would battle a few traders and stuff and then they would make it into Meteor Falls. Ash would explore the place. I would find an Ultra Ball, also thinking that he will need this for later. Then he would come face to face with the Team Magma grunts, and they would say, we are going to go and we are going to get that meteorite, blah 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 blah, and do not stand in our way, or we will do stuff or we will hurt you and stuff like that. This world will be full of land by the time I'm done. But then I should say, no way that's happening. We all need land and water. And Brawly would come personally to all of Team Magma, since he's a surfer. I would say there's zero chance that he's gonna let the land dominate. The sea is a very important part of life and chills everyone and makes everyone happy. He found that out from surfing, a close hobby of his, which a lot of people also love. And he's not gonna let some land-loving maniacs stop that. Flannery would say, as much as he loves flying and stuff like that, the world also needs water to live properly. Then Maxie would just walk away and say, since you three fools have decided to get in my way, I guess I'll be seeing you later. But then Archie would come and be like, hey, you three, keep an eye on Team Magma. They are the sworn enemies of us, the sea-loving Team Aqua. And stuff, and they would just leave and stuff. Then the trio would come up to Professor Cosmo and they would ask him about his meteorite and stuff, and he'd be like, they stole my meteorite, they're gonna go do stuff with it, go help me. Then the three would decide what to do, and they would go up the thing, I forgot what that's called, and then they would go up to the mountain, wherever that was, A duo of Team Aqua Grunts would approach, and Brawly would step in the way and would say, Ash, Flannery, I'm going to battle these guys. You guys can go ahead and battle the other ones. And then they will go. After that, it would be Ash and Flannery. They'll be exploring the area. And then, God, who was that? Who's there? Wait, what?
Eh?
Mom, you're there.
I can't hear you. Let me call again.
Okay. My God. So then, sorry for that interruption. Something was going on. So eventually, Ash, Flannery would run into a Magma grunt. Would run into Tabitha, the Magma admin. Then Flannery would say, Ash, I'll deal with this guy. Go and battle Maxie, and Ash would say, of course. And then it would be Ash and Maxie. Maxie would be talking about the meteorite, and I was going to use it to create to make the land and stuff like that. Then I would say, I won't let you do that. Go Linoon. Then Maxie would be like, go Meteor. Both Pokemon would battle. Meteor would use Crunch, and Linoon would use Slash. Both attacks would collide in the end, knocking out Meteor. Maxie would then send out his Camerupt, a really powerful Pokemon of his. I would then go up against Linoon, and in the end, Linoon would lose this battle despite doing decent damage. Then it would be a battle between the two powerhouses, Hariyama and Camerupt. Camerupt would use a flamethrower, doing decent damage. And then... God. Yes, Mum?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing you before, so I was saying...
Sorry, I need to go
I
to
was
the toilet.
asking, what time are you going to be ready? Because today I wanted to pick up another leave work.
Wow. I want you to come at like 6:25, yeah.
6:25?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready, guys?
We will be, don't worry. Goodbye. Sorry about that. Another thing had to happen. So I had to go and talk to my mom and stuff like that, you know. Anyway. So basically, Camerupt, this would be a battle between powerhouses. Camerupt will be damaged from its earlier battle with Linoon, and Hariyama would have just taken a flamethrower. Hariyama would then use a brick break, really damaging. Really damaging. What's it again? Camerupt, which would really hurt it. Then both Pokemon would use respectively a flamethrower and brick break. The way that it would work is that Hariyama would use a brick break, meanwhile the flamethrower would also hurt Hariyama, knocking both Pokemon out. Then both trainers would send out Golbat and Golbat respectively. I evolved Maxie's Golbat because I thought it was strange that he was a boss, a Pokemon boss, and he had a Zubat as his final Pokemon, so decided to evolve it. The anime has things different to the games. Yeah, like sometimes, like for example, Faulkner as his main Pokemon had a Pidgeotto, but in the anime they evolved it into a Pidgeot. But enough of my rant about how the anime changes things, this and that. Yeah, and then Ash will command for a wing attack, which would do a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Maxie will command for Supersonic, which will confuse Ash's Golbat. But Ash would say, use Sludge Bomb. And Golbat would use Sludge Bomb, doing a bit of damage, but not much. And then Maxie's Golbat would use Sludge Bomb as well. Would actually use, wing attack. Yeah. Then Ash would command a wing attack, which would cause Golbat to snap out of confusion and hit the other Golbat with a wing attack, knocking out Maxie's Golbat. I would say, Wow, you beat me. Guess I'm gonna give you that meteorite. Meteorite after beating Maxie. And now, going back to Brawly versus the two grunts. The female grunt would have been defeated. I didn't mean that in a sexist way. If anyone is like, oh, blah blah blah, just said that. Yeah, I just randomly chose that. Yeah, and it would be, and both trainers would be to their final Pokemon. Machop versus Zubat. Machop would be at a massive disadvantage, but Brawly would decide to persevere through that disadvantage. Machop would use a karate chop, which would do not much damage. Meanwhile, Zubat would use a wing attack, really hurting Machop because it was already damaged earlier. Then Machop would begin to glow, and then it would evolve. Its muscles would bulk up, its chest would become bigger, it would develop muscles everywhere, its head would become bigger, it would develop underpants and a belt on it. It would become buffer, its biceps would grow, its chest would grow, it would be full of muscles until to finish its evolution into Machop. Machop, with its upped physical attack, would actually learn a new move. It would learn Mega Punch. With Mega Punch, it would defeat the Zubat with ease. After that, we will go back to Flannery versus and her Combustion versus Tabitha and his Zubat. Then, even though Flannery was at a bit of a disadvantage, since she had a fire type, some fire type moves, or mostly fire type moves, she would be able to overwhelm the Zubat with an overheat, knocking it out. Then, Ash, after getting the meteorite, Max would say that they're gonna go and leave, and they left, and the group would reunite. And Ash would tell his friends about the meteorite and everything that happened, and while Brawly would tell them about how his Machop has evolved into a Machop, like the Mega Punch, and how proud he is of it. They would then leave, and Flannery would know where they're going. I would think, wow. I was thinking about this day ever since I began travelling with Ash. I hope this goes as well as I envisioned it. I hope this doesn't go too badly. And then they will go down the jagged path and make it into Lavaridge Town, Flannery's home. And to all of us who know where her gym is, they would then go and heal their Pokemon. And then they would go into the Lavaridge Town gym. Ash, Flannery, and Brawly all three would enter the gym. And then Flannery's grandpa would come and say, would look at Ash and would say, ignoring Brawly, wow, Flannery, you got yourself a nice boyfriend. Flannery would blush, her face would go red like a tomato and say, he's not my boyfriend, he's just a good friend of mine, he travels with me. And Ash would look with a puzzled look, boyfriend? And anyway, I would say, Ash, just forget what he said. trying to make them forget about the subject. And then Ash would ask, "Hey Flannery, who's that? How does he know you?" And Flannery would say, "Oh, that's my grandpa. He used to be he's actually the gym leader here." But then Flannery's grandpa would say, "Flannery, tell them the truth." Flannery Horizons would say, "The truth is, I'm actually the gym leader here. But I left on a journey to go and strengthen myself, because every time I used to go and get a gym battle, my challengers would either say that I'm too easy or that my Pokemon are too weak, and I'm a weak trainer, and that I should go on a journey and improve myself. And I began to think that my gym wasn't a challenge, and that I must strengthen myself, and that my grandfather was a much better gym leader than me. So then I told my grandfather what I thought. My grandfather suggested that if I believed them, that I could go on a journey to strengthen myself and see the world, so I could truly become strong. So I decided to go on a journey around Hoenn, and then I made my way to Little Root Town. I was training with my cargo until I saw the lab, and I wanted to go and ask Professor Birch if it was the day that they were giving out starters, being curious. And that is where I, of course, met Torchic and stuff like that. And then I went into Oldale Town, as you know, and I met Brandon, and he wanted to battle me because I was the gym leader of Lavaridge Town. And yeah, the rest is history, as you know. And then I should say, "Cool, so that is why you were there." And then Flannery's grandpa would say, "Oh, I see. So that's what happened." Then Flannery's grandpa would say, "Alright, Ash, do you want to have a gym battle with me?" And then Ash would say, "Yes," but then Flannery would say, "Wait, I want to have a gym battle with him, Grandpa. You could be the ref. I want to battle him." And then, Ash would say, "Alright, I'm going to battle Flannery." And then Flannery's grandpa would say, "Very well. I would have enjoyed battling you with my Typhlosion, but alright. Let's proceed." Would then be Ash's Linoon with Flannery's Numble. Flannery would think, "I want to battle Ash to settle the score at the battle tent." I don't think that was a proper draw. I don't count draws as alright battles. I want to settle the score. Ash would think, "Wow, I want to settle the score with Flannery. I'm not satisfied with a draw. I don't think she is either." So both trainers would send out, respectively, Linoon and Numble. Numble would have wanted to rebattle Linoon to get revenge. And then Ash would have wanted to send out Linoon for nostalgia and stuff like that. Then it would be Linoon versus Numble. Numble would have gotten a lot stronger and would weaken Linoon heavily with a much more powerful overheat. But Linoon would use a slash and a takedown, knocking out Numble, but it would be barely standing itself. Ash would be impressed by how Numble has increased in power. So I would say, "During our adventures, when you went to the Pokemon Center, I was training my Pokemon, making them stronger. And now, go out Magcargo. I should use a slash, which wouldn't do much to Magcargo, despite being a crit. Magcargo would finish it off with a flamethrower. I should think, alright, I think it's time for you to get your revenge. Go, Lairon. Then, it would be a battle between Lairon and Magcargo. Lairon would use a rock slide, doing a lot of damage, being super effective. But then, Magcargo would use an earthquake, also being super effective. But the defense of Lairon would only put it a bit under half health. But Ash would know that Lairon would not be able to take another earthquake. So, Flannery, seeing Ash thinking about how he's going to take the earthquake, would quickly command for another earthquake. But then Ash came up with a strategy and would be like, Lairon, jump up into the air. Flannery would be like, wait, what? And now use Rock Slide. The Rock Slide would hit, knocking out Magcargo. But Lairon still be weakened from the other battle. And then Flannery would say, I've been saving this Pokemon for this gym battle, Ash, because I knew one day I'd battle you. The moment I began traveling you. Alright, go out, Tentacool! Then it would be, and then Ash would be like, Tentacool, let's see what Pokemon that is. The Pokemon would say, Tentacool, Fire Turtle Pokemon. And it would say, this one's moves are Flamethrower, Overheat, Attract, and Sunny Day. Yeah, I think those were its moves in the games. And I think those were its moves in the anime as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, would then go back to Lairon versus Tentacool. Tentacool would be Lairon would be very, very damaged from the battle earlier. Meanwhile, Tentacool would be fresh. Lairon would use a Rock Slide, being super effective, doing a lot of damage to Tentacool. But then, Tentacool would use an Overheat, which would almost KO Lairon. Then, Lairon would use a Rock Slide, a Rock Slide, and then, Tentacool would use a Flamethrower. Both attacks would collide, knocking out both Pokemon. And then both trainers would look at each other, and then they'll both send out respectively Tentacool and Combustion. They would then go into a battle. Tentacool and Combustion. Combustion would use a double kick, which wouldn't do much. But then Tentacool would use a water gun, being super effective. But even though Tentacool had the type advantage here, Combustion was evolved and had more experience battling. So then Combustion would use a Flamethrower, which would do a lot of damage this time, even though not being very super effective. And then Tentacool would be burned and would be suffering from the burn. But then Tentacool would glow. It would grow in size. Its tentacles would multiply. Its face would grow, and the top of its head would become a bit like a mushroom and would grow crystals on it, become more like a helmet, and it would grow a blade-like thing, 2 blades between itself, then completing its evolution into Tentacool. Tentacool would have learned Then Ash would say, use water gun. But when the water gun launched, it wasn't a water gun. It was much bigger and much more powerful. And Combustion would dodge the attack, just barely. And then Ash would say, wait, is that But then Flannery would interrupt. That is a hydro pump. Wow, it's learnt hydro pump. Then Ash would say, alright. Now use hydro pump. And Flannery would be like, alright, use overheat. Both attacks would collide. And then Ash would be like, push harder. And Flannery would be like, push harder, Combustion. But then, in the end, type advantage would win. Oh my god. Giving Ash the win in the end. Making him win the battle. And then Ash would return his Tentacool. And Flannery would congratulate him on the win. And would say, this is the conclusion to our battle in the battle tent. Because that was a draw. And I don't think any of us count that as a win. And Ash would say, agreed. Now Ash, I give you with pride the heat badge. Ash would have received the heat badge and would say, alright, now I have the heat badge. And then, when Ash was about to leave and Flannery was about to leave, her grandpa would say, you know, Flannery, I want you, to continue travelling as much as you want with that boy, because I see that you have a real bond with him. I want you to continue travelling with him and going around. I want you to see the entire world. And when you're finished, you'll be welcome to come back here and continue your role as gym leader. And I would say, yes, Dad. I'm glad that you're letting me stay with him as much as I like. Try traveling with him. And then Flannery would leave the gym, and her grandpa would be smiling, knowing that his granddaughter is very close to finding herself and feels very, very happy. Now, that is the end. I've really enjoyed this part today. It's been fun now. Goodbye.